going on, people? We are back. Welcome to Homeboy Talk, podcast of the Immortals. My name is Deon Donovan, writer and creator of the infamous Florida Man at Title Page Comics, and this is my homeboy.
This is your boy Daniel Stinette, aka 𝐀𝐔𝐃𝐈𝐎. Catch me at 𝐀𝐔𝐃 Gaming on both YouTube and Twitch. Like, follow, and subscribe. And this is my homeboy
ORRION online. That's Orion online. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You know what we gotta do. It's another round of Homeboy Talk. Let's talk that talk.
Woo!
All right. So, let's talk about this Xbox stuff. Xbox. All right. Xbox. They did some bold ass shit. Let's just be real. They did some bold ass shit. They wanted to come out there and say, hey, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna double the membership. So if you want gold or Game Pass, fuck what you say, fuck what you heard. We're going to double it because we want to increase the value of our product for you to go play online and stuff, And let me tell you, and my homeboys here are witnesses because we're all been on the internet, and so you guys, the listeners, let me tell you this: it ain't no secret for anything to double. That's almost like if Netflix were to go, hey, you guys are used to paying $12.99 for Netflix. Guess what? We're going $24.99. Wouldn't y'all trip out? Well, this is exactly what the internet has felt. They felt like, what the fuck? You going to double the membership for us to go play memberships on? There's a lot of people that something like it. Well, that just solidifies it. I'm going PC because you want to play this bullshit for me to go play online, and you know what, fanboy Phil or not and stuff like that, but like with the minimum catalog that you have in the Xbox world, for me to go play online and play double the price to go play online and stuff like that per month, and how much is that a year? The internet went crazy. They're upset, man. Y'all want to speak on that? What the fuck was really going on with Xbox? What is really going on with Phil Spencer's mindset? Who made that executive decision?
Corporate greed. I think Microsoft want to cash in their Money in the Bank championship. They want to cash in the Money in the Bank. Saw how the market is. Saw how, hey, next 3, 4, 5 years, we know these motherfuckers going to be inside all fucking day. So like, all right, cool. Bump the price up. Fuck it. Bump the prices up. We'll reap the profits. They ain't going anywhere. Their ass gonna be sitting online right now playing Xbox Live. They have to sit there and take it. And we know gamers. They're very resourceful. They will find a way. If they feel like they're being fucked in any sort of way, they will find a way to fix your game. They will find a way to show the flaws of your game. They will find a way to get what they feel they deserve. So I think that was just what was really it. Microsoft saw an opportunity to cash in. And, you're seeing the results of the reaction online and how people are not, people are upset. And for good reason. From a business side, yeah, I can understand the reasoning. It makes perfect logical sense. Look, 2020 was the year to launch new consoles, with everyone staying inside and being quarantined. This price bump for Microsoft, right, is for Xbox Live, is essentially cashing in and taking advantage of a situation where everyone's stuck inside, and for Lord knows how long. And, just a little quick sidebar. If Microsoft is thinking about doing this with Xbox Live, and you mentioned Netflix, just think of how the power of these streaming companies can double, triple their prices, and what could we do more with that. But I think Microsoft was just trying to take advantage of the situation, cash in their chips, and, get their profits up for Xbox and their gaming division. What do you think, Daniel?
Well, to explain it for people who don't know exactly what we're talking about here, yesterday, Microsoft, the Xbox division, they came out and they said that there were rumors swirling in early 2020 that Microsoft was doing away with the yearly option of Xbox Live, which normally would have been $60. They were doing away with the yearly option, and they were just going to just the 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month option for Xbox Live. And that they were going to go ahead, they went ahead and increased the price of the actual tiers, with the 6 month option being the highest for $60. So if you combine that, that's $120 for just Xbox Live. We're not even talking about Game Pass. We're not talking about xCloud. We're not talking about any of the extra stuff that you add on. This was just for Xbox Live by itself. So they went ahead and put this information out there. They confirmed it, and the internet went bananas. They were like, "Are you serious? Like, not only are you, screwing people over by taking away the option of having a yearly option like PlayStation and Nintendo has, but you double the price." And so over the course of the whole day, there was just all of these articles, and Xbox fanboys were just upset, and everybody was laughing at them. And pretty much late last night, Phil Spencer basically came out and was like, "Hey guys, look, we're sorry. Today was a bad day. We've heard your complaints, and we see this as a good learning experience. And not only are we not going to touch the pricing, we're not going to do the pricing anymore, we're also going to remove the Xbox Live barrier for free-to-play games." Because a little known fact, unless you're a Xbox fan who actually plays online, you had to have Xbox Live Gold to even play free-to-play games like Fortnite and Apex Legends and stuff like that. PlayStation hasn't had that as a requirement since 2013.
Oh, shit.
When these games were first coming out. So you're talking about almost 8 years of this. Xbox is just now getting rid of this ever since their inception. Well, with Xbox One. So what got me was, it's just the audacity, honestly. And anybody who is a fan of gaming should be railing Microsoft over this, because this was a prime example of a company. Just to go with Deon said, looking at the situation, looking at their financial books and saying, how far can we stretch the BS with our customers before they finally push back? I understand the business. I understand that you guys have been burning through cash like a mofo. You just spent $7 billion on Bethesda last year. You've been acquiring all these different studios. You're doing the whole Game Pass shenanigans with trying to copy off of Netflix. And as we already know, Netflix, Hulu, all those guys, they're not making money off of streaming. They're barely breaking even, and then they're taking that money and putting it towards putting out more programming, because the theory is that eventually they'll break even and they'll start making profit off of it. We don't even know how many millions and billions Microsoft has lost in this whole entire endeavor. But I can tell you, they've lost a lot. Why do you think that they don't want to show their financials anymore?
Damn.
So, with that being said, I understand the business behind it. But ethically and morally, you tried to do this in the middle of a pandemic, knowing that the economy is in a way where people are struggling to make ends meet already and are waiting for their stimulus checks to come in so that they can put food on the table and pay for bills and have a roof over their head. And the one thing that people use for entertainment, you tried to be sneaky and try to price gouge, and you tried to raise it. And what gets me throughout the whole entire thing is the Xbox fanboys turned around and they were like, well, I mean, good on Microsoft for doing it, I mean, at least they listen to their fans, unlike Sony, who's charging people $70 for their brand new games. Now, hold on. One, nobody is applauding what Sony's doing, because it's not just Sony. It's Sony, Ubisoft, Activision, all these different companies that are putting their games out for $70 when they first came out. Granted, them same games are now $30, $40 because people waited for the discounts for Black Friday and whatnot. But they put those games out at $70 from the beginning as well. So while I don't agree with the $70, $10 price increase from $60, what we had from before, I understand the business. When you have games like Halo Infinite that have $500 million and above budgets, we should have been at $70 games years ago, but companies were afraid of the backlash of raising the price $10 from what we had over how many generations.
Right.
But economically, $70 games should have been here a long time ago, because whatever. Now people are going to say, well, they're making money through DLC and other stuff that supplements that money that they would have lost out on. True, but that only applies to your big publishers. That only applies to your Rockstars, your EAs, your Ubisofts, those guys. what about the little guys who are putting out these big games with big budgets, but don't have that kind of backing to do DLC and stuff like that? They have no choice but to put it at $70. So that's an entirely separate situation from Microsoft literally trying to charge double, taking away options, and then when they get caught, turn around and be like, well, sorry that we got caught. We're going to take away something that our competitor hasn't had for almost 7-8 years, and we're taking it away from you now, guys. Aren't we benevolent? Aren't we the good guy? And you got these Xbox fanboys eating up like, yeah, they're the good guys, they're the good guys. And you're like, dude, why should I be applauding you? It's like this, right? Say I'm standing on the street and you try to come up behind me and try to pick my pocket, and then I catch you, and then you turn around and say, I'm sorry that you caught me, but here, let me buy you a hot dog. Well, hold on, wait a minute, dude. Like, okay, thanks for the hot dog, thanks for being nice, but you still tried to pick my pocket. I'm not gonna applaud you for doing the right thing after you got caught. And that's what this basically comes down to. You're not sorry for what you did, you're sorry that you got caught.
Damn.
And because of that, I can't rock with that. I can't rock with Microsoft trying to act like the good guy. I can't agree with the fanboys trying to make it seem like Microsoft is the good guy in this whole entire situation, because they're not. And so, and then Sony, I can guarantee you, Jim Ryan and all the Sony executives were sitting back laughing like you see this shit? Like,
yeah.
Like, you got a year subscription for $60. You haven't charged PlayStation Plus for people to play free-to-play games like Fortnite and Apex Legends for almost 10 years now. You're like, this just compounds on why Microsoft just doesn't get it when it comes to gaming, and why they keep getting their lunch money stolen by Sony and PlayStation every generation. When you make flubs like this, right? And something else I'll touch on too. Like, a lot of people try to say, well, there's nothing comparable to this. Do people not remember what happened at E3 in 2013 when Microsoft went up there and said Xbox One was going to be always online, and that you would have to have a 24-hour check-in if you wanted to keep your games, and you couldn't play used games and all that other BS they did?
Oh, yeah.
Literally within 24 hours, they completely flipped around on that, and they were like, okay, you know what? We're going to put a day one patch that removes that functionality from the system, even after Don Matrick had said, well, we can't take it out of the system. Oh, but we're going to put a patch in that takes it out of the system. This Microsoft is not new. It's not new to this. They're always trying to get. And look, I know it sounds like I'm railing on Xbox. I plan on getting an Xbox down the line too. I'm not some raving PlayStation fanboy. All these companies, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, whatever, at the end of the day, they're not your friends. They don't care about you cheerleading for them on Twitter and defending them in forums or whatnot and stuff like that. Yep. At the end of the day, they want to screw you over, and they want your money. So with that being said, we got to hold these companies' feet to the fire. And when they mess up, we got to be there to stand up and vote with our wallets and be like, no, we're not going to go along with that. And Microsoft, for the first time in a while, they made a major mistake. Because moving forward, just like we were talking about in a previous episode with Cyberpunk, after that whole entire situation, they've lost so much goodwill that they built up with The Witcher 3 and all that stuff they got going on. It's going to take them years for them to get that level of goodwill back from fans. People are saying, well, because Microsoft did this, jumped on it within 12 hours of them doing this, whatnot, that it should be okay. No. Microsoft, it may not be to the extent of Xbox One, how bad that was, but I guarantee you, this is going to bite Microsoft in the butt for a while, because people are going to take a look at anything that you do from this point. They're going to automatically be like, well, you already tried this before. Why should we believe you now? And I guarantee you, the money, because this was not something that was some random pencil pusher in an office decided at Microsoft and got one past Phil Spencer, and he didn't know about it, and he tried to come make himself like a good guy. No. When you have a service that makes billions of dollars, I'm talking billions every year, and you want to increase the membership fee of that, that was not something that was done lately. This had to go through the chain of command.
Chain of command, yep.
This had to go through several layers, all the way up to Phil Spencer, and possibly even up to Microsoft themselves to approve this. Phil Spencer approved this. Satya Nadella of Microsoft, he approved this. This was not done willy-nilly. They tried to get over on people. They tried to slide it in. They got caught. So now, I'm telling you right now, you can quote me on this. The money that they lost out on having to now take Xbox Live off of free-to-play games, and the money that they lost out on having to go back on this deal, oh, they're gonna put it somewhere else. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be for a couple years. But I guarantee you, that money that they would have gotten by charging double, they're gonna slide it in somewhere else, and Xbox fans are gonna pay for it.
Yep.
Let me go now to piggyback off of what you just said. All right, so you guys know, I am not an Xbox fanboy. However, I am an Xbox console owner, not the Series X or the S, but the Xbox One X. I could have bought any other bullshit as Xbox, but I bought the Xbox One X, so I have it. I do play it. I do buy games for it, just like I am a coupon gamer for PlayStation, I am a coupon gamer for Nintendo, and I am a coupon gamer for Xbox. And I will be joining the PC market soon. But the way that Xbox keep pulling this bullshit and throwing these little stupid ass jabs and punches and uppercuts, and these damn gamers are gonna sit here and take these hits, this is gonna be a moment in time where, you know what, gamers are gonna strike back. The fact of the matter is that Xbox want to make this bold ass move. After I just said this episodes ago, that Xbox and Microsoft cannot make stupid ass decisions, because PlayStation time in will sit there and rub their hands and sit there and make a commercial statement out of your stupid shit. Talking about like, well, you want to sit here and say you don't want to, you gotta go through hoops and jump through fire to share a game, whereas PlayStation comes out there and says, here, let me show you how to share a game with a friend. Thank you. So you make that for Xbox. I'm sitting there and says, "Oh, we're gonna cut the year subscription and we're gonna and count it down to six months for $60." Oh, what do you think Sony's gonna do? They're gonna make a commercial. So here's how you buy a subscription on PlayStation for $60. Swipe.
It's for a year.
For a year with PlayStation Plus, and guess what you get with it? Some free games.
Hey.
It just feels like for every 3 steps that Microsoft makes towards getting themselves back on track, they take like 5 steps back, and it's like I don't like. It just blows my mind. Y'all have been doing so good with the goodwill that you built up with Game Pass and all this other stuff and everything else going on like that, and then you make this boneheaded move. Like this is literally like this is like to make like a basketball analogy. This is like getting a steal, right? And you're running to the basketball to the hoop. Nobody around you. You can either dunk it or you can lay it up, right? And you're like, I'm gonna go for a dunk. You go for a dunk and then you trip and throw the ball out of bounds. That's what this is. This was an easy layup. And what boggles my mind is like, it's not like y'all couldn't have slid this in and eventually did it. To go off of what somebody was saying earlier about Netflix in terms of subscription, you know, what we were saying around, like gradually that's what Netflix has been doing. And for those of y'all who bought Netflix when it was first starting or like earlier on, remember Netflix used to be like $8.99 a month.
Yep.
Then went to $9.99 a month, then $10.99 a month, then $11, and it keeps increasing, right? But do you hear the backlash from people saying, well, yesterday Netflix was $10.99 a month, but now it's $12.99 a month. I don't want to pay that. No, people are going to be like, really? Fine, okay, I'll pay the extra $2. Yeah. They're gradually increasing it so that it doesn't really affect you. But in reality, Netflix is almost $20 a month. I mean, granted, if you get the highest quality, but it's almost $20 a month. Mm-hmm. Nobody's really complaining because they gradually did it. That's what Xbox could have done. You could have gradually increased it. You could have did this, right? You could have kept the year subscription. If you wanted to charge more, you could have been like, okay, we'll go ahead and make some kind of deal where we combine Game Pass with Xbox Live and something else like that, whatever it's like that, and for a year, and that'll be $80. People have been like, damn, $80? But you know what? They're adding in Game Pass, they're adding in this, and that. So that makes up for $20. And the Xbox Live. Then they go, all right, I'll go ahead and pay for it. You just completely jumped the shark. You were like, not only are we gonna remove a year subscription, so you gotta pay every 6 months, we're gonna double the fee if you do want to go for a year. So you're paying $120. Like, really? Like, come on, man. Like it was such an easy slam dunk that they could have done. It was a flub.
Remember the rumor that they said they were going to cancel Xbox Live to make it free, just to have it something that's a competitive nature to PlayStation?
That was around the same time that the rumors were coming out that they were getting rid of the year option.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean,
that probably would have been a smart move.
I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
But I mean, if you wanted to move consoles and so you wanted to get a one up, and easily you can, because just like you said, if they're gonna sit here and take a loss on their memberships and Xbox Live and stuff like that, they're gonna try to move them somewhere else. They already did that, because look at the damn to expand your memory, proprietary memory. How much is that gonna cost? Because you gotta have that.
Is what,
$200 something dollars? Yeah, $250. You know what? You guys are gonna correct me in the comment section on how much that shit costs, but whatever it is, they're gonna make that shit, because that's only 1 terabyte. Don't forget about 2 terabytes. Don't forget about 4. So
it is $220.
Yep. So don't forget about those proprietary. And you're looking at Microsoft. What the rumor is like, you know what? They're gonna try to get in. They're gonna try to move into the adapter trigger market too. So that controller is already $59.99. Oh, so Sony controller right now, was it 79 or something right now?
No, it's 70.
70?
I believe so.
Or 69 or whatever. So Xbox will be like, well, okay, well, you know, we need to make a whole new controller to be competitive to the PlayStation 5. So we're gonna go ahead and try a nickel and dime. So we might just go ahead and maybe add a $5 extra, because we're gonna add adapter trigger that's probably in haptic feedback, because we want something to compete with Sony, you know. So it might be $5 more. They're gonna try to nickel and dime you one way or another. But with Game Pass stuff like that, man, they're like, you know, I know that they're buying out games to buy exclusively day one for Game Pass. You know, try to boost the want and the desire for an Xbox. Because don't get me wrong, I do want an Xbox Series X. I was actually in line, just to correct everybody, I was in line to actually buy one at launch, and I couldn't get one. The only option was available for me was the Xbox Series S, and I wasn't going to do that. I wanted X. But if Microsoft keeps making these mistakes, I'm going to be treating the Xbox just like I treated about the Xbox One X. I didn't buy that till almost the end of the generation, you know, because there was just never a want or a desire for one, for all the stupid mistakes they were making, like the exclusive content and all that stuff like that. I get if Xbox was doing that and giving us more features and stuff like that, you know, like let's say they would have bought exclusive apps for their service, you know, or something exclusive to the nature or something like that. Or they would have like, all right, well, we're going to increase our Xbox Live service. However, we're going to give you Hulu for free or Disney Plus for free.
Some kind of
something.
Yeah.
Then I'll say, okay, well, you know what? It's worth that hike.
Give us a bone.
Yeah, something, you know, but you're just going to say, no, we're just going to go ahead and cut it down to 6 months and pay $6 for that. And if you want the whole entire year, it's $120 and stuff like that. So you lost your fucking mind. What is this? What Xbox? What are you really doing out here? And the fact of the matter is, you guys board of directors stuff like that. Somebody must have pissed in their cereal, some shit like that, to be running around talking about like, hey, we need to go ahead and increase we need to hike the Xbox Live service, stuff like that. Like Microsoft, I mean, if Phil Spencer or the boards and the suits and ties could actually just hear me, I says, you have no room for error. No room, because this is bullshit. You can't be doing this. Your point is to sell that console and sell and make it, and always make that damn console the number one place to play your fucking games. You know? The fact of the matter is that you intrigued Japan to buy the system, because there was no interest in getting that damn console. But now you're actually you're building up speed for that lost market for the past 15 years or so shit. trying to get the Xbox known over on Japan and stuff like that. It's like Xbox can't make any errors at this point, you know, and they gotta try to keep the momentum going, especially when they're gonna be competing with PlayStation, because you're always gonna have PlayStation constantly dunking on Xbox for making stupid ass moves and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is the Xbox Series X and S ain't coming with a Kinect, you know, because they learned from their mistakes. So yeah, we can't have that Kinect, you know. You know, now they're coming out with a bare minimum controller. All we added is a share button. PlayStation came in there, so we give you haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, you know, and a whole new design controller and stuff like that, you know.
Which other features and stuff like that. See, like what it feels like is that Microsoft, you know, not Xbox division, but Microsoft as a company as a whole, is finally getting to a point where they're like, okay, we've given you enough rope to hang yourself, and you're starting to choke a little bit. We've given you all this leeway, all this money to make these moves for stuff that you said was going to bring us money and put us in position to dominate video games and everything else like that in the living room, and we're not seeing no return on this now. So I'm feeling like Microsoft is finally stepping in, and they're like, okay, we want you to do this, this, and that, because we need to start seeing a return. We just made one of the biggest gambles in Xbox history, buying Bethesda for almost $8 billion. We need to see some return on that. We're not going to just keep letting you sit here and spend our money making these moves and then getting your stuff slapped by Nintendo and Sony every year, and we're becoming the laughing stock of video games. You know, like I was talking to somebody on Discord yesterday, and they made a good point. They said Microsoft would probably be the biggest powerhouse in video game if they just dropped hardware and just became a third-party publisher. Like if y'all just dropped Xbox as a general. If you want to keep Xbox as like your brand, cool. But do like Sega. Get out of hardware. Stop trying to compete with Sony and Nintendo. Just become a publisher. If you want to buy up all the different people, okay, buy them up. Make your own third-party games. Make your own franchise. Do all that stuff. Make your money like somebody, and just do like that. But they don't want to do that because Microsoft is such a monolith in terms of them as a company that they want to monopolize every market they get into. It's that corporate culture. They don't know how to coexist within their own niche like Nintendo has, and just do what they're good at and call it a day. So if Microsoft drops Xbox hardware tomorrow and said we are going to do a Sega, we're just going to be a publisher for games. You know how much money Microsoft would just print, just making games and just selling them to all the different systems. But once again, Microsoft doesn't want to give that space to Sony and have Sony dominate. That's the reason why Xbox and Microsoft got into the game in the first place.
It's pride.
It's pride. I mean, literally, you can go back and read the history of the OG Xbox when it came out. Their goal with Ballmer and all of them was they wanted to dominate the living room and get Sony off of that position with PlayStation. And they've been spending money since trying to chase the people. Fans of Homeboy Talk out there. It's been 21 years since Xbox released, or just about. Xbox has not won one generation.
Not even the PS3? I thought 360 oversold PS3.
No. PS3 came back towards the end of the generation and beat Xbox 360.
PS3 came back on 360.
PS3 came back on Xbox 360 because at that time, Microsoft had this idea that whoever rules North America and Europe wins everything, which in a sense it does, but they didn't realize just how strong Sony's influence is in the rest of the world. The rest of the world made up for what they couldn't sell in America and in the United Kingdom with England and Ireland, whatever like that. So the rest of the world basically pulled Sony out of the hole, and they ended up coming back and they beat Xbox 360. Now, granted, Nintendo was the head winner of that,
right, with the Wii.
With the Wii,
yeah.
But when you look at all the different generations that we've seen, Nintendo, I mean, outside of the Wii, the DS, and now, well, I guess we're talking about home consoles, not handhelds. Home consoles, when you look at the Wii, and now maybe Switch, which me personally, I don't count the Wii as a home console. I count it as a handheld, but that's whatever here. The Wii was an outlier, the way it's sold. Nintendo is usually in that second, third place. Microsoft has been trying their best to get to that first place spot, and every time they try something, Sony's right there to be like, dog, we've been doing this for much longer. We have a better handle of this than you do. Right. We're going to show you, not only do we know how to dominate, we know how to do it for generations at a time. When you look at like the top 5 best-selling consoles of all time, like 4 of them are PlayStation consoles.
Right, right.
The Game Awards show proof what Sony's been doing. Who's on the Game of the Year nominee list?
See, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, like I'm saying, Microsoft did so much, in trying to build up goodwill after what happened with Xbox One, that it just blows my mind that you could make such a big error, such a big unforced error. It isn't like somebody forced your hand to make you go ahead and do this. You did this out of pure greed, and you got caught. And now because of that, granted, it's not going to be, I don't think people are going to hold Microsoft's foot to the fire for too long over it, but I guarantee you it's going to be a little bit before people fully trust Microsoft again, even after you made all this goodwill. Just because, you could have did the right way if you wanted to make more money, but you jumped too far in and you got caught.
No, gamers have long memories, dude. Gamers have long memories. And
they do.
It seems like Microsoft, to put in football, they're in the end zone, but they keep fumbling at the 1 yard line.
They keep fumbling the 1 yard line.
Oh, they're about to punch it in. Oh, nope, fumble.
Yep.
And Sony keeps running it back for a TD.
For a touchdown.
Then kickoff comes, and then they repeat the same way. And it's funny how this discussion has evolved, because it just seems like, I wouldn't say Microsoft is they might be in dangerous territory in terms of being third place consistently throughout these console generations. I thought 360 won that shit. It just seems like we're a little bit in this, almost like we're in the end game here for Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like Bill Gates is fucking Doctor Strange. And it's like, what do we do? It's like, we're in the end game now. It's like they need to come up with something concrete, something solid to turn the ship around a bit and find a way to compete with PlayStation and Nintendo, because you keep losing generations, you keep losing console gen after console gen. What happens? You end up like Sega. You know what I'm saying? You end up like the Sega Dreamcast. You start becoming, like you said, a publisher, and it's a corporate pride that I don't think they'll ever go publisher. I think that in the end, I think if they were to call it quits, I think they would just call it quits. I'm not sure they'd become a publisher if they were like that, being that bad. If PS5 outsells the new Xbox like 4 did, I don't think they would just I don't think they wave the white flag. I don't know, but
well, from what Microsoft has pretty much been saying is that they're saying that they don't, this is not my quote, this is what they've said. This is what Phil Spencer said. Microsoft doesn't look at Nintendo and Sony as competitors anymore. They said the competitors that we're looking at
is PC.
Well, not PC, but we're looking at Amazon. We're looking at Netflix. We're looking at those guys, which to an extent they're Disney. They should be they're correct in a little bit, because these are the ones who are now getting ready to roll in here and see streaming options and seeing how much money the gaming industry is coming in. Honestly, there's nothing to stop Amazon or one of these other people to come in and be like, oh, we want to buy Rockstar. We have the money to buy Rockstar. Here you go. Oh. So now that, because it pretty much comes like this, Microsoft realizes that they're never going to be able to compete with PlayStation or Nintendo when it comes to being a platform holder. That's why you've heard the narrative change now from trying to sell as many consoles as possible, and now they're doing Game Pass, and they're trying to put Game Pass on everything, on PC, possibly on phones, on TVs, whatever it's like that.
They're making the jump to subscription
based. Jump to subscription based, because eventually that is going to be the future. Online gaming and subscriptions. But Microsoft is trying to well, we started now, we'll get a good jump on it, and we can possibly beat out Amazon and some of these other big players who are probably jump in there. That's a smart move, but the whole issue is you got to have compelling software to get people to join your stuff. Hence why they bought Bethesda, which I thought was funny because everybody was like, well, that was such a good move. Bethesda has Fallout and Doom and Wolfenstein and all this stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Did y'all know that Bethesda's games have not done well over like the last how many years?
Damn.
Like they haven't sold well and they haven't really done well. So it's kind of almost like, okay, yeah, it was cool when we did it, and there was, PlayStation fanboys who were mad that Bethesda got bought, and they may have to possibly get an Xbox to play their games moving forward. But in reality, if that shit don't pan out, you know who's gonna pay in the end? Phil Spencer, because he's the one who had to go and convince Satya Nadella and them that, hey, we should do this in order to help prop up Xbox. If it don't work out, that's what happens, man.
I'm gonna peep some bold moves that I feel like that Microsoft should have done, because if they want to sit here and tout and say that we're not in competition with Sony and Nintendo, and they're talking about we're conquering the streaming market, we're the #1 streaming market, fuck Stadia and fuck Luna. No, Xbox, you're in the console market, you're in a console competition, and you're selling it's called a console. You call it Xbox. It's a damn console, My thing is if Microsoft want to have a fight in the ring, and they're gonna have to make some bold moves, but this is what I felt like they could have done. Those whole rumors about the Sega stuff, it's like Microsoft want to buy out Sega, stuff like that. If they had the money and they did that, see that would have made an earthquake to buy Sega. If they would have bought WB Games, and they want to come out there and be bold and drop Xbox Live and possibly team up with HBO Go, and says if you can get HBO Go for free or some shit like that. Those are some bold moves that Microsoft could easily make, because I've always used Xbox as an American game system. I've only played American games on there. The only difference that I switch lanes for it on PlayStation is if it's an exclusive title. I will play an American King like Last of Us and stuff. American made game studio on PlayStation. But for Xbox and stuff like that, I will play Red Dead Redemption. I will play Grand Theft Auto. I will play Need for Speed, American-made games, And I've always separated that. And I'm looking at the American market and stuff like that, and we've always based on certain genres, racing, shooters, stuff like that, whereas, their RPG, with their acquisition of Bethesda, stuff like that, that's their RPG market, which is, So my thing is Microsoft, if this, honestly, their 9th generation, they got to put their head in the game, because if they don't, they got to get the fuck out and become just Microsoft. Cut the X out, exit out, pun intended, X the box, and be just Microsoft, and be a third-party distributor, and a publisher. You take your Halo, oh, well, guess what? It's coming to the Switch Pro, if that, rumor is Switch Pro, and the PlayStation 5, so that, the fucking Halos in Steam, put the Gears of War series in there, put that on Steam. Because if you're going to keep taking these L's, stuff like that, man, you might as well just become a publisher at this point, I agree. If you can't keep up with the console generation, just be be Microsoft, a streaming service, and a third-party distributor, for if they can't keep up and make it to 10th generation.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll throw out a kind of argument. This might be a little bit of sidebar. Would that be dangerous territory? If Microsoft were to become a publisher, would that be dangerous territory where Sony now holds a monopoly of the gaming industry and Nintendo does their own thing? They don't even compete with them. Does the Sony brand, does the PlayStation hurt with no competition, or does was it iron sharpens iron, whatever the phrase is? Does competition help the PlayStation make the moves that they did to put it into that stratosphere?
Well, that kind of goes along with what I was getting ready to actually just say, because the rumor recently that came out from one of the Microsoft inside reporters was that apparently there's a a couple of big game publisher studios that are in the process of possibly about to be bought out. And they're being looked at by Microsoft, Sony, Amazon, and also another studio that, or another company that people aren't paying attention to but need to, Tencent. Tencent is one of the biggest Chinese companies, conglomerates out there in terms of acquiring studios and different stuff like that. And the word is that Tencent is apparently saving up their cash, like putting their cash together, and they're about to make a big splash. They're about to buy somebody huge. That's a rumor. They're about to buy somebody big in gaming over here in America. The only ones I could think of that is that big that Tencent could buy is you're looking at Take-Two with Rockstar.
Ooh.
You're looking at possibly EA. You're looking at possibly Activision Blizzard.
What?
They have that kind of money. They can make that purchase. So, to answer your question, no, because the game industry has now grown beyond it just being between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. You have other companies now jumping in. What the danger is, and is coming, is consolidation. You see consolidation happen, it's inevitable. It happens in every market. When you have all these different varieties of a product in a market, eventually the main players are going to start acquiring all the little ones and putting them in themselves, consolidating, and that market is only going to be controlled by those certain players. Okay. So cell phones, it used to be AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, and Verizon. Well, what happened? Sprint and T-Mobile just combined. So now it's T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. You got sodas. It used to be all these different sodas. Who's the biggest soda brands? Coke and
Pepsi.
There you go. Yeah. You got cars. You get in every industry. There's always going to be consolidation to where the little guys are going to get gobbled up by the big guys, and it's going to be controlled by the big guys, and they're going to each have their piece of the pie. That's where we're going towards video games, and that's the part that I really want people to see. Whether you're a Microsoft, PlayStation, or Nintendo fanboy, you need to realize that time's about to get tough here in video games, because it's going to eventually be down to there's only going to be a certain few power players, and everybody else is going to be owned by them. Microsoft has already made the first step. They acquired Bethesda, one of the biggest publishers out there. You still have the Japanese publishers. You still got Capcom. You still got Namco Bandai. You still got those guys. You still got guys in Europe like Ubisoft and CD Projekt Red and all them. So there's more people that can be acquired, but you're already starting to see the end game here of what's going on. And that's why people need to start looking at Asia, because Asia's the next big power player with guys, especially from China, with Tencent and all these other companies coming over, because they're going to start acquiring these little companies and start building up their stuff because they want their own streaming service. Right. So it's, in a way, I'm more afraid. If I'm afraid of anything, I'm afraid of consolidation, and I'm afraid for Sony. Because as good as Sony's doing right now, Jim Ryan, who is the current president of SIE, Sony Entertainment, he's already come out and said that they don't want to go and make these big giant purchases like Microsoft's doing, because they don't figure out that's the way to do business. They're like, look, if we find a studio that works with us and it makes sense for our studios, we'll acquire them organically, but we're not just going to go out there and spend some big cash to buy something just because, right. Just as a reaction. I think that thinking is a little misguided, because you just saw Microsoft just drop $7 billion on Bethesda like it was nothing and just grab them. You see Tencent is now pulling their cash and asking for a loan or whatever from the investors, whatever it's like that, for the money to be able to make another purchase. You see what's going on here. Eventually, you're not going to be, we know your first party output is good. We know that you've been rocking on top of the video game industry for like the last 20 years. But we're now getting to a point where you have to do more than just trying to do things or organically to grow your business. I'll bring it to a football analogy. The Green Bay Packers, right? Green Bay Packers for years have drafted and developed. That means that they draft people in the draft, they develop them, and they build up their team that way. It's good because it keeps your cap space low so that you're not spending a lot of money. But the thing is, eventually, your team, depending on how good your team is, you're always going to have only draft people. You have to be able to reach out into free agency and be like, look, I know this guy costs a little bit of money, but yo, this is the best wide receiver out there, or this is the best linebacker out there. Yeah. If he's a free agent and he's going to help this team, then dog, we're going to have to spend a little bit of cash than normal to go ahead and get this. Sony has to think that the same way. Yeah, I understand that you guys don't want to go out and spend $7 billion for Bethesda, but you got to start looking at these other guys and being like, okay, who can we go ahead and grab? Because eventually, the power players are going to grab everybody, and then it's going to be too late. And Sony's not going to be able to do it.
I mean, Sony, if they would have went that direction, stuff like that, because the rumor is right now is they possibly got the good relationship with Konami and stuff like that, and Konami holds 2 big IPs that still hold strength, such as Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. You know, so the rumor is, that rumor is that that's supposed to happen. However, if Microsoft wanted to play big balls, they can go ahead and say, well, you know, we want to go ahead and buy Konami and we'll get those. That could make that can rumble that the gaming industry in competition in general. You know,
right. I mean, here's interesting. Well, would other game companies allow that? Would Nintendo, would Sega?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, Japan is one of those things where Microsoft, pretty much any company that's not Japanese based, is gonna have an issue going into Japan and getting one of the big Japanese publishers, because the Japanese government is gonna step up and be like, okay, wait a minute, is you acquiring one of our companies, is that gonna benefit them and benefit us to make sense? If it doesn't, the Japanese government is gonna automatically step in and say no. That's why Microsoft's not gonna be able to come in and buy Sony. That's why Microsoft's not gonna be able to come in and buy Capcom or Square Enix or anything like that. Right. That's who I honestly feel like we're being set up to possibly happen. I think if anything happens, I think that Sony might merge with Square Enix or acquire them, because Square Enix and Sony have such a good relationship for Sony bailing Square Enix out years and years ago that, I mean, look, PlayStation 5 just got Final Fantasy 16 exclusive.
Yep. You
know what I'm saying? They just got Final Fantasy 7 Remake exclusive for at least a year. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that has to be Sony's counterpoint. Sony has to leverage their ability to be able to go into Japan and get those partnerships or possibly acquire one of those publishers to jump up there and go, because as much money as Sony has been making, Sony doesn't have Tencent money. Sony doesn't have Microsoft money. Sony doesn't have Netflix and them type money. So you have to be more strategic, but if you're going to jump in, you better jump in right now while the price is still low.
Well, here's the thing, though, man. Like with Xbox and stuff like that, you know, because I think that's their weak point right now is they don't have a great Japanese relationship. They're trying to, because it's like, oh well, we got Kingdom Hearts here, you know, we got the whole entire. It's like, well, yeah, you were late to the game. That's been something in Sony, like, you know. We finally got Final Fantasy over here and stuff like that. So you late to the game, you know, because that's the only thing that's holding Sony is they got a strong American studio front with Santa Monica, you know, and Naughty Dogs and all that stuff like that. They got a good market there, and their Japan market, you know, that network that's been strong years and years ago. So you're talking about Capcom relationships, you're talking about Namco Bandai relationships, you're talking about Square Enix relationships and stuff like that. You know, in Platinum Games, their track record's been pretty good over there too. You know. And the fact of the matter is like some of the simple, the no-brainer type stuff. That the fact of the matter is, you know, Fall Guys, one of the hottest games that was launched in 2020, was on exclusive to Steam and PlayStation. Yeah, and that whole battle, like it was like, you know, Xbox out here making stupid ass eye emojis, talking about like, you know, we want Fall Guys. And Fall Guys like, well, we had no plans going on. I was like, these are simple stuff that that should be easy for you to get. You know, yeah, cool. You know, they let one of their own exclusive IPs, like Cuphead, move over to the Switch. Now it went over to PlayStation, stuff like that. I felt like they should have just kept it on Xbox, you know, and never let that, because they need something to get people to stay on Xbox and stuff. You know, they need titles to stay there. Battletoads, they know that that's gonna stay on Xbox, you know. But like they need strong IPs to stay on to rather stay on Xbox or get to Xbox, you know. And if Xbox or Microsoft hasn't done anything to compete with Sony and stuff like that, they're gonna be definitely lost in the fray. And you're talking about these big industries like you mentioned, like Tencent and all that stuff like that. It's all gonna be left to Sony battling the bigger companies, you know, such as Amazon and Stadia, because Google's getting their hat in the ring and stuff.
And that's
you know,
a battle that Sony is not going to want,
Yeah.
because if it's a publicly traded company, that means that any other company can swoop in at any time and do it. Like, for example, Codemasters, the studio that makes the Dirt series and all the stuff like that, they were originally supposed to go to who was it? I want to say EA, I believe. EA wanted them, or somebody wanted them, and then like at the last minute, I think Take-Two or one of the other companies jumped in and was like, "Oh, EA wants you? Well, we'll give you a little bit more cash." And they're like, "All right, we're going with them." So you know that's the kind of game that Sony doesn't want to get into. But to go ahead and I guess bring this all to a head here. This is my question, 'cause I know we've asked this before. You know, last year before Series X came out, and you know we gave our answers. But now that we know where Microsoft is going and what they plan on doing with trying to build up Game Pass, buying these studios, trying to build up that subscription base and everything else like that, do you guys feel that Microsoft has kind of reached like a breaking point where whatever they do this generation is going to affect how they operate from here on?
To be honest with you, we just started this generation. If they repeat the same shit they did for the Xbox One, yeah, it's going to highly affect them. Personally, yeah, I am hard on Xbox, but I want them to succeed because Sony needs competition. You know, if Xbox basically waves their white flag and throws their towel, then you know, I mean, you got you let down your Xbox fans, stuff like that. However, you got the PC ones that are like, well, you know what? I still got the Game Pass on PC, so I'm gonna be fine. You got people that's doing away without the hardware. That's like, well, if that game's being made on Xbox, I'm gonna play it on my PC. But if they make these, if Xbox keeps making these little stupid ass decisions, you're making it really, really easy to just say like, I'm just gonna just build the PC. You know, like, sure, if I need to go ahead and try to match the specs as an Xbox Series X, I'm just gonna build it and play those games there, you know, and just get the Game Pass stuff like that. Don't gotta worry about it on Xbox Live, right? You know, so like that, you know what I mean? You really created that back door for people to keep to support Microsoft without the hardware and shit like that. You know, if they keep making these little stupid ass trip ups coming towards the touchdown or, you know, shooting the goal, you know. But yeah, if they keep repeating the same mistakes like they did with the Xbox One, or they don't build a great relationship and stay and keep a good track record with studios outside of the United States, such as, you know, trying to build up with Japan or try to get something exclusive, like, you know, well, I mean, I like to throw some of the mistakes they made with the whole Dragon Scale stuff like that. You know, that should have been something that should have been made exclusive, you know. But now, like, they've gotten themselves in a rut and building bad relationships, because, you know, like Platinum Games don't want to make shit for Xbox, you know. You know, then you got a lot of things that's going on, whereas, like, you know, simple stuff like, you know, Revolver. I mean, Fall Guys should have been on Xbox. That's what I was waiting for, but didn't happen. You know, the fact of the matter is Genshin Impact is a free to play game, but you still got people playing Xbox Live. to play that damn game, you know. Whereas on PlayStation, they playing Genshin Impact like a breeze, you know, and they ain't give a fuck, you know. But yeah, man, like I feel like that if Microsoft doesn't get the shit straight, their future for 10th gen game consoles, you know, in a console war, you know, and you know, trying to cater to your niche of fans who wants to support Xbox, they're your biggest cheerleaders, stuff like that. Your biggest goal is to make sure that you continuously take care of your core audience and still put in a fight to try to bring in people to come in to the Xbox side, you know, because it seems like they're actually trying to make some moves, you know. Like I said, they're trying to add in the adaptive triggers. I don't know if they're going to add in haptic feedback, but the haptic feedback technology is in cross platforms with Nintendo and now PlayStation. They got the same haptic feedback, you know, technology. So it's like, you know, it's almost these things that like Microsoft and Xbox can't have these no-brainer deals going on, like, you know, just past them, you know. You want to make Xbox as the premium system, and it deserves to be a premium system. It's been in this fight for a very, very long time, and if they can't catch up, man, like I said, they're going to end up being just Microsoft, and they're going to have to really X out that box, you know.
Last thing I got to say about it, Microsoft, listen to me very closely right now, okay? This is what you need to do. This is your last fucking stand right here. After this, if you fuck this shit up, you're done. Pack it up, go home, become a publisher. This is what you do. You buy EA, you buy Take-Two, you buy NetherRealm Studios. Mortal Kombat, Madden, Grand Theft Auto, exclusive to Xbox, East versus West. This is America, goddammit. Buy your way to success. End of story.
All right, that's the end of our podcast. Like and comment, dislike if you ain't feeling this content. Download discussion from the SoundCloud. Big shout out to you for being a part of the crowd. Follow us on every popular social media on the platform in the description below.
Thanks, y'all, for lending your ears for another episode. Subscribe.